The story we were told is that our ancestors left Idah, we don't know when, and they traveled along the bank of the river Niger. And when they got to that place at near Asaba, our brothers settled there. When I interrogate that story, I found out that the people that moved from Idah, when the story is being told, you listen to their names. Afambo Abumu Engineer Dr. Ogonna Nwokoye. Abumu onye nkuzi na Federal Polytechnic Oko nke dị na Anambra State. Abumu a civil engineer by profession. This year may 25 years in Jibulu onye nkuzi. I think Abumu onye Oko. Okay, let me tell you a story about my people. Like I told you, I came from Oko. Oko is in Anambra State, okay, where you have the Federal Polytechnic Oko. Our brothers live in Delta State at the bank of River Niger, the Oko in Delta State. They are our brothers. Okay. The story we were told is that our ancestors left Idah, we don't know when, and they traveled along the bank of the River Niger. And when they got to that place, at near Asaba, our brothers settled there, and some people crossed the river and continue to move until they get to where we are today. That's our oral tradition and story. Now, but I can tell you something, that when I interrogate that story, I found out that the people that moved from Idah, when the story is being told, you listen to their names. The names of these people are Igbo names. The story said they moved to Ofo. In my own dialect, it's Ohwo. We don't call it Ofo. Just like we say market is Afia. In my dialect of Urumba, that market is not Afia, it's Afia. Ohwo. Ibe. If you mean afternoon. So our dialect is a little bit different. If I speak my dialect, of course, when we speak the Central Igbo, most people think that Central Igbo is the Igbo of the people of the South. It's not true. We have our distinct dialects, but these dialects are all mutually intelligible. Just like nobody, if you speak Ika or you speak Inuani or you speak Ukwane or you speak Arochuku, whatever you speak in the entire Igbo language, there's no way somebody will understand what you're talking about, because it's one language but different dialects. So we have that story. But I can tell you that story, the people that migrated from Idah are not Igala people. They were Igbo people that lived in those places in ancient time. Just like if you also listen to migration from Benin, from which our ancestors called Idu. When we were small, we read a story about Ezidu Noba. You found out that there is no way these people can migrate from Benin, and they are Benin or Edo people, but the names of the migrants, the ancient name of the migrants, are Igbo names. There's no way that would have been so. And another thing you should understand is that in the ancient times, the Igbos don't have a central king. In fact, Igbo Enweze, Anekuni Igbo Enweze, I have also read through. I found out that even Ezenri Aburo an absolute monarch. Oburo a king in the sense of Oba of Benin or comparison. He is more of a priest king. He has more of moral authority, not more of military power. So Igbo Enweze, in most Igbo communities, the Igbos in ancient time don't fight war. That's why the symbol of Igbo authority is Ofo. That Ofo is justice. It's a symbol of justice and righteousness. It's not a symbol of war. So what I'm trying to let you know is that in ancient times, the Igbos always move whenever they are attacked, because in most cases they don't fight war, so they don't always fight back. So today, as I'm talking to you, there are Igbos in Kogi State. If you go to Igalemela local government area, you see the Igbos there. In some other part of Kogi State, there are Igbos that are living there that are indigenous, not migrant. People who are indigenous to those places. Even in Benue State, there are Igbo villages, the Izi people in Ebonyi State. They are spillover of their people in Benue State, indigenous people. Several villages living in those places, just like in Kogi State. So it is certain that the people who migrated from Idah in ancient time were not Igala people. They were Igbo people. That environment was no longer favorable, and they have to move. And it was like a reverse migration, because they were going back to where their ancestral home is. They are going back to where they came from. Likewise, the same story of Ezechima or Ezechime, depending on dialect, moving from Benin with his kinsmen and traveling back. Why was he moving backwards? If they are moving, and these people name their communities where they settled, and look at those communities, you find out that those communities are Igbo names. None of us knew when our community was named. It's always an ancient name that nobody knew who gave that community its original name. Nobody knows that. There are modern names like Delta, like Anambra, like Enugu, like Rivers. These are modern names. But a name like Ubuluku, a name like Washuku, a name, these names, nobody knew when these names came into being. They were there pre-colonial era. So what I have to say is that most of this migration that came from Benin, in ancient time, Igbos settled in those places. Igbos live in those places, but they were driven by conflict. They were driven by unfavorable environment, and they moved back to where they can settle in peace. That is what happened. If the people that migrated from, I'm not saying that they are not persons that are of Edo origin, that moved into Igbo dominated area. They moved, but they were small in number. That is why they were assimilated. If they were majority, the reverse will be the case. And remember, the Igbo people don't have military power, but the Benin Empire was one of the most powerful empire ever out of West Africa, with an absolute monarchy. They have the resources to actually compel the people to learn their language, or to learn their culture, or to assimilate others. But the reason why all these communities today speak dialect of Igbo language with some influence from Edo language is because the majority of the Aborigines, the indigenous people there, were originally Igbo people.
Dalusa, ofu ajụjụ nchujune, because ikwuge about Benin people shinne, and ikwuzukwo maka Ịda, ya bụ ndị oko ndị si Igala wee bịa. Na dịka ka oko dị kịta, ị ga-enwe ike gwa anyị oko, ya bụ ka oko dị kịta, ị ga-enwe ike gwa anyị now that those forefathers ikwu maka ya si Ịda wee bịa, ọ bụ afọ Igbo kwuazasị ka ọ bụ onwe afa ndị Igala dị n'ime?
In our own case, anyị enweghị that record of their names. If I actually want record of their names, bụ na akụkọ akọrọ anyị bụ na I go settle down na oko nke dị na at the bank of River Niger. Before emesizie ụfọdụ wee move. I am how long ha nọrọ ebe anwa. Before ụfọdụ move kwazie wee bịabazie the other side. So anyị enweghị the chronological record of their names of the people who left Ịda in ancient time. We don't have that akọrọ ha anyị nke anwa anyị nwe that record. But what I can see is the culture of the people. Omenani bụ the ụfọdụ na-akpọ ya omenala, omenani, omenali, omenala, depending on dialect. So omenani bụ the religion of the ancient people, of the ancient Igbo people, and here are full names of their gods. And what I mean by alụsị dị iche iche nwesịrị afa dị iche iche. Then if Anna is a god, a goddess in Igbo religion. Then if ukwezi afa a na-akpọ the supreme god, Chukwu Okike. A na-akpọkwa afa dị iche iche maka oge ụfọdụ nne gị ụmụnne anyị ndị nọ na ụmụnne anyị ndị ọzọ kaisi ndị aniọma today, ha agaghị ama na afa dịka Olisa, na anyị nwa bụ ndị South East na-akpọzikwa ya Olisa. In fact, be anyị ebe a afa mmadụ na-abụ Olisa, anyị na-akpọ Chukwu Olisa, a na-akpọ ya osebulu ụwa. Ifu ndị mgbe gboo a na-aga ọfọ asị osebulu ụwa bi n'eluigwe, ọgọdị ya na-akpụ naanị. Ife ndị ahụ abụrụ ọ dị Igbo niile nwere that religious pattern, even though enwe differences from clan to clan, because the problem bụ na the Igbo language is a language of multiple dialects. And we're more than 30 major dialects of Igbo language. More than 30 major dialects. In fact, otu asụsụ si wee dị n'ụfọdụ community, within one community, mpaghara nke a na-asụ onu nke ọzọ, mpaghara nke ọzọ na-asụ onu nke ọzọ dịkwa iche. So, but enwere over 30 major dialects of Igbo language. And also, the Igbo culture is also not very uniform. Igbo culture will variance as you move from clan to clan, because here in most of these subgroups are like clan of Igbo people. You notice that there were small differences in culture, but practically, community even now, I believe in Indiana because of the proximity of a powerful empire and a lot of influences. The story of a prince moving and founding a community is a story told, is like an oral tradition. We don't know whether it is true or not, but if you look at it, you find out that if a prince moves, the reason why the prince came there and over time speak Igbo language and practice Igbo culture is that the prince may have come with a small contingent of conquerors or people, and then he met a much more larger population of indigenous people in that land.
The last question in Chijo.
The place is from Ogonna.
The Anioma as in Delta State, Enuani. Some part of Enuani but that Nuwesi Yoruba Webia, like Olukumi, like Ukunzo, and other community around that place too. Sine Binibia, Yoruba Bia, but in that's their language. But that they are still their old language, the Aborigine. Kisi explain here. When not practicing that Yoruba culture. Wasu ọnụ na-abị, wasu Yoruba, na-asụ Igbo. That's Igbo Delta. So if I'm kicking wiki with that, because those people they still maintain that their ancient language as in Yoruba. Biakwa na-asụ ọnụ Bible Anioma. Kicking wiki like that one.
Okay, nke a bụ a typical example iji wee kọwaa gị na mmadụ ichefu asụsụ ya ọ dịrọ mfe Ọdụrụ mfe ichefu asụsụ indigenous language. Iwe ọcha efu na ndị anyị na-ekwu anụgo m maka ha. Afụgo m their interview online. Ndị Olukumi in Delta State. Even though today some of them they bear both Igbo names and they also bear Yoruba names, kind of. Their language may have altered a little from the standard Yoruba because they have been isolated for years. But you found out that so that's to show you now. Onye si na ụma na esi ebe ọzọ wee bịa o wee chefuo asụsụ ya kpamkpam nna ya fechefuo asụsụ a niile fechetezi ofu mkpụrụ n'ime wee chefuo omenala fa otu ndị be ha si eme chefuo ya kpamkpam na-emezi ome ndị Igbo na-erizi nri ndị Igbo na-eme for market days ndị Igbo na-eme ọkpara ukwu ndị Igbo onye bụ the eldest person na-akpọ ya ọkpara ukwu be life ndị Igbo. Other possible. Something is wrong somewhere. That's the academic way of interrogating an issue like that. That's why you see now most of the oral tradition of migration story and origin to tales by moonlight. Unless there will other evidence to back it up. Open archaeological evidence or other evidence to back it up. There's no way a people will lose their language completely. Unless, like I said, assimilation assimilation where the migrants were few contingent of few individuals, they can come in and be assimilated over time. So the Olukumi, they believe that when they came, even though they had a small number, they stayed together in their community, and because they stayed together there, they were able to maintain their language, but they were still influenced by Igbo language because most of them today they speak Igbo and they also speak that Olukumi. Is it not so?
Yes, sir. Yes.
So, God bless you, sir, for coming. So, what we want to ask you is, so our elders, they are wrong for what they are saying.
Let me tell you something. There's something that Senator Ogonna Nwokoye said recently on TV. I think it's Channels Television.
Yes.
During an interview with Kimberley. He said that during the Biafran War, after Asaba massacre, their people were taught to deny their Igbo-ness. Because if you say you are Igbo, you may be attacked. You could be killed. He said it openly on television. And I also refer to what Stella Damasos Aboderin, the actor, what she said years ago, that her surname was actually Ojukwu. That their surname was actually Ojukwu. But after the Asaba massacre, the father told them they will have to survive first, and they have to change their name from Ojukwu to Damasos. And there are also persons from as far as Banke in Edo State who have to change their family names in order to escape massacre and also to survive. I also want to let you know there were several massacres in several places. The Asaba massacre is the most prominent, but massacre also took place around Okwane. There's a place massacre took place there where even the traditional ruler was killed, and the other places where silent massacre occurred. And at that point in time, the people that are talking about it today, and as of today, let me be frank with you, as of today, it is not even profitable to be an Igbo man in this current day situation of Nigeria, because the civil war never ended. It is not profitable to be an Igbo man.